sharpness of
अरे जैसे सीट्यूशन लंबी है ना बहुत
resonance. So here, this was the topic which we discussed in the last class. For this, we have considered the amplitude on the y-axis, whereas this omega square minus p square, this we have considered on the x-axis as well as the x-dash axis. So based on the damping factor b value, we have obtained different curves like this. Like this, we have obtained different curves. So this is for b equal to 0, and this is for b equal to 1, and this one b equal to 2, and this one is b equal to 3. So here, this is the curve which is representing the variation of amplitude with the variation in the frequency near resonance. So here this will be in this direction, as well as here this will be the minus of omega square minus p square. Negative values will be taken on the x-dash axis. So here when b equal to 0, the amplitude is infinite. Amplitude is infinity means which is not possible. Why it is not possible means whatever the medium you take under in which the body is oscillating, the medium provides a minimum damping. A minimum, which it may be negligible. It may be 0.001 or 0.0012 like this. So irrespective of the damping, how much it is providing, still it provides a minimum damping. So that's the reason as B is not equal to 0. When B is not equal to 0, obviously the amplitude will never be infinity. So this is not possible in practical or in reality. Okay. So the next, as a B equal to 1. So here we are getting a sharp curve for the amplitude. So here there will be a sharp variation in the amplitude with the variation in frequency. So over this region itself, so from here to here itself, even though we vary the frequency between this value, there is a sharp curve which we are getting, So which means the body will be having sharp variation in its amplitude. So here, so as the B value increases, the sharpness decreases. So here also, sharpness is decreasing means what is happening to the amplitude value? Amplitude also, as the B increases, amplitude decreases. Means the body will be under damped condition. This is what we have seen in the last class, sharpness of resonance. So here there is a device which is called as a Helmholtz resonator. There is a device which is called as a Helmholtz resonator. So the purpose of this Helmholtz resonator is, 1 minute, I will talk it. Helmholtz. So this Helmholtz resonator, this one, yeah, this Helmholtz resonator, it is used to tune the musical instruments. So here, if we observe this Helmholtz resonator, it is a spherical shape. It is in a spherical shape like this. So look here. So like this. Whereas here, this is called as the mouth, and this B, which is called as a neck. So this is called as the neck. So here, this A is open to the medium or air, so that this inside this Helmholtz resonator, the air will be present. So air will also be treated as an object which will be vibrating with its own frequency, nothing but the natural frequency, with its own frequency or the natural frequency. So now here some musical instrument is played, so that whatever the music that is produced by the instrument, that will be carried by the air. So whatever the music that is produced, so it is like this. So here I will take one more Helmholtz resonator like this. Just let me draw. So here, so now, so this we named it as B, this is A. So when a musical instrument is played, that music will be carried by the air. So that air will enter the mouth of this resonator. So the volume of this air inside the resonator is V. It is vibrating with an natural frequency omega. With a natural frequency omega. So here, when the musical note carried by the air enters the resonator, that air will also starts vibrating with one of the frequency of the musical notes. So here whatever the music that is carried by the air, those will be called as the musical notes. So each note will be having its own frequency. Each musical note will be having its own frequency. When I say music, it is the combination of many such musical notes. Each note will be having its own frequency. So all those notes are carried by the air, and that air enters the resonator. When the air which is carrying the musical notes enters the resonator, so at a particular time, this air, whatever is present inside the resonator, that will be vibrating with one of the frequency of the musical note. As we said, there will be many number of musical notes that are carried by the air, and that air enters the resonator. When the air enters the resonator, then this air also will be start vibrating, and one of the frequency of the musical note will be equal to the natural frequency of the air. So when this air starts vibrating with the frequency of one of the musical note, so slowly that air will be leaked out from the B, whereas this B is kept near to the human ear, near to the human ear. So this is the ear, human ear. So that B will be kept near to the human ear. So when this frequency of one of the musical note is equal to the natural frequency of the air inside the resonator, then these two will be under resonance, so that the air will be leaked out through the neck B, and that will be received by the ear. So that is how the frequency of the musical note can be verified. There is a relation between the natural frequency and the volume of the air that is presented inside the resonator. There is a relation between the volume of the air that is presented inside the resonator. It is like if V is the volume of the resonator, then the volume of the air present inside the resonator is also equal to V. So if omega square is the natural frequency of the air, so omega square is proportional to 1 by V, where V is the volume of the resonator, omega is the natural frequency of the air, or natural frequency of the sound created by the resonator. So omega square is proportional to 1 by V. Omega square equal to, I'll place a constant K by V, where K is the constant. Where K is the constant. So from this we can write omega square into V equal to constant. So the product of the square of the natural frequency of the resonator and its volume is always a constant. Is always a constant. So by taking various resonators which are having different volumes. By taking various resonators which are having different volumes, one can adjust, one can tune the musical instruments. One can tune the musical instruments to the desired frequency. To the desired frequency. So this is what the Helmholtz resonator. So here, the Helmholtz resonator, as we told, it is mainly used to tune the musical instruments to a desired frequency. To tune the musical instruments to a desired frequency. Okay, so this is the Helmholtz resonator, and I think if people have studied these phasors also, let me give a brief description of the phasors. And once we go back to the offline classes, that time we'll discuss again about these phasors. Anyhow, we have time, so let me give a brief description about the phasors. So here, I'll take. Phasor. So like here, the phasors which you have already studied in your PU, when you are studying about the AC circuits. Have you studied the phasors or not? Phasor diagram, all.
Yes, sir. Basic, sir. Phasor diagram.
Yeah, this means there you will be studying how the current is lagging or voltage is lagging with the resistance. LCR circuits, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
The
sir.
LCR circuits, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now let us see. So here, generally, when you consider uniform circular motion. So when I say it is an uniform circular motion, so here a particle will be moving in a circle with a uniform angular velocity. Now I will take this one. So this is the circle which I am considering. Now let me take the particle at this point. So now I'm saying I'm considering this as the x-axis and this as the y-axis and this x dash and this as the y dash. So for the time being, I will consider the position of the particle at y, where I am considering at y. So here I am considering this, I will treat it as the origin. As we said, the particle is in a uniform circular motion, in the clockwise direction. The particle you observe here, the particle is moving on the circumference of a circle in the clockwise direction. So for the time being, I have considered the particle at y. Means when t equal to 0, the particle is at y. When t equal to 0, the particle is at y. Let me take, after some time, the particle is present here at this point. Let me take this as A. When the particle is at A, I will draw a projection onto x-axis. So this is the projection onto x-axis. When the particle is at B, look here. I am considering the particle at B. So this is the B. So when the particle is at B, I will consider the projection again. So this is the projection when the particle is at A. This is the projection when the particle is at B. So like this, the particle reached the X. So the projection itself will be at this point X. So after some time, means the projection, it moved from O to X. When the particle is at Y, the projection will be at O. When the particle is at A, the projection of the particle or the position of the particle is at this point. Let me take this as P1. And now when it is at B, its projection is at P2. Means the projection as the particle is moving from y to x, so y to x like this, the projection is moving from O to x like P1, P2 and x. Now, when the particle is at this point, so now the projection will be like this. So this is the projection. Now, when the particle is here, so this is the projection. So when the particle is here, this is the projection. So now what is happening? When the particle is moving from x to y dash, the projection is moving from x to O. X to O means when the particle moving from y to x, the projection moved from O to x. When the particle moved from x to y dash, the projection is coming back to O. So the same thing happens in case of this side also. On this side also the same thing we can observe. Means the projection will be moving along the XO X dash, along the XO X dash. So here when the particle is at this point, the projection will be here. When the particle is at this point, the projection will be here. When the particle is here, the projection will be here. When the particle is here, the projection will be here. By that time the particle reaches the Y, again the projection reaches the point O. So when the particle completes one complete rotation along the circumference of a circle, the projection is moving from O to X, X to X dash and from X dash to O. Means the projection is completing one oscillation. The projection is completing one oscillation in a straight line. X dash X, as the O is the mean position, as the O is the mean position. So in this way we can say, the motion of a particle or the uniform circular motion of a particle along the circumference of a circle is similar to the simple harmonic motion. That is similar to the simple harmonic motion. So for that I'll consider one more circle here. So look here. So here, this is the circle which we have considered. So now as usual, I will draw the coordinate axis like this. This is the X, this is X dash, Y and Y dash. Okay. So now, if the particle is at this point, so let me take as it is, the particle is at this point by the time t seconds, when t equal to t, and let me take the particle is moving with a angular velocity omega, So now here this will be the, so now this will be the displacement, which will be called as the angular displacement. So as we know, displacement is equal to velocity into time. So theta is equal to omega t, angular displacement theta equal to omega t. So in the same way, for example, if we consider the same, if the particle is in a time t seconds, if the particle is somewhere here, if the particle is here. So now this is the line joining the position of the particle, and as usual, as I told, this is theta, which is equal to theta equal to omega t. In a time t seconds, it has reached this point. So from this point, we'll draw two normals onto x-axis as well as onto y-axis. So if I say the radius of the circle is amplitude A, means from here to here, which is equal to A. So this will also be the radius. So this diagonal, that will be hypotenuse, sorry, that will be the A. So if this is theta, I can consider this also as theta. So if this is theta, I'll consider this as the right angle triangle. This as the right angle triangle. So if I say this is the displacement x, this is the displacement x. As this is the theta, then this is the right angle triangle which we consider, this, and this is the hypotenuse A, this value. So here this will be the opposite side and this is the adjacent side. So this will become, so sin theta is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. Opposite side is x, hypotenuse is A. So x equal to A sin theta. X equal to A sin theta. As theta equal to omega t, I will replace this theta with the omega t. So x equal to A sin omega t. So now, can I say this as a simple harmonic equation? Can we call this as a simple harmonic equation?
Yes, sir.
So if this is a simple harmonic equation, this we obtained by considering the particle which is in a uniform circular motion. So as this represents the simple harmonic motion means, can we say that the uniform circular motion of a particle represents the simple harmonic motion? Uniform circular motion of a particle represents the simple harmonic motion. So here, when t equal to 0, this is the position of the particle. This is the position of the particle. When t equal to t, this is the position of the, where I have put the arrow mark. So there, this is the position of the particle. So for example, I will consider one more circle here. You see, I'm considering one more circle. So look. So this is the y, this is the x-axis, and this is the x dash, and this is the y dash. So here, so far we have considered the particle is at y when t equal to 0. For example, if the particle is at this point when t equal to 0, so here a vector which is joining the position of the particle from the center of the circle. A vector which is joining the position of the particle from the center of the circle is called as phasor. So phasors are nothing other than vectors. Phasors are nothing other than vectors. So here there is a phasor which is joining the position of the particle from the center of the circle. So this phasor is already making some angle, or already it has some initial displacement when t equal to 0. Actually, so far whatever we said, when t equal to 0, the particle should be at y. Rather than at y here in this case, the particle is at this point A when t equal to 0. Means this phasor is making some angle phi with the initial position. So this angle phi when t equal to 0 is called as the initial phase. So that is called as the initial phase. So the angle made by the phasor with the initial position when t equal to 0 is called as initial phase. So now here, after some time, if the particle is at this point, if the particle is at this point, so here, so by the time t equal to t, the particle reached this position. So now here, this is the right angle triangle which we are considering. So now here we have to consider the total angle, no? So this is the total angle. This is phi already we have noted down this is, and this is omega t, omega t. So when I say the total angle means omega t plus phi. So instead of the theta, what we'll be getting as omega t plus phi when the particle is having some initial phase. When the particle is having some initial phase. So in this case, the equation which we can write is y equal to a sin omega t plus phi. Y equal to a sin omega t plus phi. So this is the equation which represents the position of a particle after a time t, which is having an initial phase phi, which is having an initial phase phi. So now I'll consider a point. 1 second, let me move it aside. So now I will say a point. So now here, this is the point P which I am considering. Now can you tell me where exactly the point P lies? Or else I'll consider this. So now I have drawn a line here. So this one. Now can anyone tell that whether this line is a long line or a short line?
Short. Shorter, sir, comparatively than that of radius, sir.
Leave it. I have done only one line. No.
Short lines.
Huh?
Short line.
Is it a short
Line.
line?
No, just a line, sir.
I have drawn a line. No here. So now can you tell me whether this line is a okay? Let me, for your convenience, I will extend this one first. Okay. Now you tell me whether this line is a short line or a long line.
Sir, we have to compare it, sir. There is no other comparison. It's
When we compare only, we will decide that short or long.
Yeah, means you have to refer the line with some other line. There should be a reference system. There should be a reference system. Now, if I consider a single line, I cannot say whether this is a long line or a short line. So rather than that, I'll consider one more here. Now, can we say this a long line?
Yes, sir.
You can say this as a long line. So when we have this reference, if this is not there, we cannot say whether this is a long line or a short line. So I will consider this as a reference. So by referring this, I could able to say this a long line. So in the same way, if I want to locate the position of the point P, we need a reference system. That reference system will be called as a coordinate system. We need a reference system to locate the position of the point P, and that reference system is called as a coordinate system. Means I will take like this now. So this as the x-axis and now y-axis. If I put here some 3, 3. What is the meaning of this 3, 3? This is the origin. So the point P is at a distance 3 units from the origin along the x-axis. Means so like this 1, 2, 3. And if I say this is 2, this is 2, means the point P is at a distance 2 units on the y-axis from the origin O. If I write this as the 4, means the position of the point changes to here. So to locate the position of your point, we need a reference system, and that reference system is called as the coordinate system. So now I will consider a number like this, 3 plus 4i. What do you call this? What do you call
Complex number.
Complex number.
complex number?
Complex number.
Yes, yes. These complex numbers, whatever we are saying, those complex numbers also can be represented in a coordinate system. Those complex numbers also can be represented in a coordinate system. So here, the representation of complex numbers, the representation of complex numbers in a coordinate system, the representation of complex numbers in a coordinate system is called as is called as Argand diagram. The method of representing a complex number in a coordinate system means I will consider z equal to x plus iy. So this z equal to x plus iy I will represent in a coordinate system. So like this. So look here. So what's the meaning of this one, z equal to x plus iy? So this is the coordinate system which I am considering. Origin, x-axis, as well as this is the y-axis. So here I'll consider the point P. So now here, this is the, what is this? So this will be the x or y?
X.
What about this one?
Y.
Y.
So this is, can I write this one as z? So that z can be represented as z equal to x plus iy. This is the x and this is y. So the representation of a complex number in a coordinate system is called as Argand diagram. That is called as Argand diagram. So here, if I say some, here I have considered 3 plus 4i. So 3 plus 4i, if you consider 3 is real number, 4 is also real number along the y-axis, where I is the imaginary number. 1 minute, I think. Is somebody in the lobby? Yeah, leave it. So I is an imaginary number. So here generally we'll consider this as the x-axis will be considered as the real axis and the y-axis will be considered as the imaginary axis. X will be considered as the real axis and y will be considered as the imaginary axis. So that is actually representation of a complex number in a coordinate system. If I represent the same complex number in the polar coordinates, if I say polar coordinates means r comma theta, no? Polar coordinates means r comma theta.
Yes.
So the same can be represented as z equal to r cos theta plus I into r sin theta. Z equal to r cos theta plus I into r sin theta means the same complex number can be represented in terms of the polar coordinates, means in terms of r and theta. So when you represent the complex number in terms of the polar coordinates, so the complex number z can be written as r cos theta plus I into r sin theta. Again, this is a complex number only. So this is the real part, r cos theta, and this I into r sin theta will be treated as the imaginary part. So this r theta will be along the x-axis and r sin theta will be along the y-axis. Now if you draw the diagram like this, so this is the x-axis as well as y-axis and this is the origin. So now I will consider this as the z. So this will be the cos theta, r cos theta, and this will be the r sin theta. So here this is the r. Sorry, this is the r cos theta, and this is r sin theta, and this is z. So z equal to r cos theta plus I into r sin theta. So r will be taken out, and this can be written as cos theta plus I into sin theta. So cos theta plus I sin theta. This is similar to this Euler equation. E power I theta. E power I theta is equal to cos theta plus I into sin theta. So this cos theta plus I sin theta can be replaced with e power I theta. So the same can be written as z equal to r into e power I theta. Z equal to R into e power I theta. So this is how we will be representing a complex number in the polar coordinates. So this is actually when there is no initial phase, means when theta equal to omega t. If theta equal to omega t, so the same equation can be written as Z equal to R into e power I omega t as theta equal to omega t. So if there is some initial phase phi, then theta equal to omega t plus phi. So this omega t will be replaced with omega t plus phi. So the same equation can be written as Z equal to R into e power I into omega t plus phi. Z equal to R into e power I omega t plus phi. So similarly, here how we have seen while representing the uniform circular motion. So when the particle is rotating along the circumference of a circle, we'll be getting that is similar to a sinusoidal wave. So we have got the expression for the displacement x. So for the displacement x, whatever the expression we have got, x equal to, so look here, a sin theta or x equal to a sin omega t plus phi. So when I say the displacement x is represented as x equal to a sin omega t plus phi, here the time t will be taken on the x-axis. So look here. 1 minute. So here the time t will be taken on the x-axis and the displacement will be taken on the y-axis. So now here, as the displacement is represented as a function of sine, which is a harmonic function, So instead of this omega t plus phi, if I consider omega t, when t equal to 0, displacement x is 0. So this will be the position of the particle. So I'll consider this one so that you will come to know the difference. So this is the position of the particle. So when t equal to t by 2, when t equal to t by 2, it reaches the maximum. So like this. So here we'll be getting a sinusoidal function like this. So when t equal to pi by 2 is this one. When t equal to pi, so a sin pi into omega, any value of omega, this will become 0. So here again the displacement is 0. So this is. So when t equal to 3 pi by 2, means the particle will be moving in the x dash axis direction. So here in this direction the particle will be moving. So the displacement is negative. We are getting in the y dash direction. So when t equal to 2 pi, so this is the position of the particle. So here this is the curve which represents the variation of displacement with time. This is the curve which represents the variation of displacement with time. So here, when you consider a phasor, that phasor it can be represented in a rectangular form as well as in a polar form. A phasor can be represented in a rectangular form or in a polar form. So if phi is the initial phase, then here we have written z equal to some. So look here, z equal to r into e power I omega t plus phi. Z equal to r into e power I omega t plus phi. So here this phi represents the initial phase. So the same can be written as like this. Z equal to 1 minute. Let me select the pen. So here the z equal to r into angle phi. So which means r is the amplitude and phi is the initial phase. So rather than writing the diagram, I will stick a diagram here. I'll select one diagram and I'll stick it here. Now you see, is the diagram is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So look here, like if you represent Z equal to, if I write this Z, like Z equal to some, if you observe here, Z equal to some 2 plus I into 3, sorry 3 or 5, 2 plus I into 5. So look here, this one. So A equal to 2 plus I into 5. A equal to plus I into 5 means where X is 2, Y equal to 5. So look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5. So A equal to 2 plus I into 5 means here the X and Y both are positive. So here if you observe, can I say this is a rectangle here? This one? This one
Yes,
is
sir.
a rectangle.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, the phasor, it is represented in a rectangular form. Rectangular form. So here, if the Y is negative, look here, what's the Y value? 1 and 2. And this is along the Y dash axis. So Y is negative. So that's the reason here we have written minus I into 2. This is. So whereas what's the X value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So D equal to or B equal to 7 minus I into 2. 7 minus I into 2. So here the intention of this diagram is, so just if the values are given like some Z equal to 2 plus 3I means, so the phasor will be coming. So for this, if you draw the phasor, this is the X axis and this is the Y axis. This is Y dash and this is the X dash axis. So let me take a little length. 1 minute. I'll extend this one. Next hour free only, no? You don't have any class, no? Last hour.
No, sir.
Can I take another 10 minutes? So that I'll close this.
Sure, sir.
I'll close this chapter. Okay. If you can bear, that's what. It's not like completing the
Yes, sir.
syllabus. So look here. So this is the X axis and this is Y, X dash, and this is Y dash. Now I will take the values of these things. So look here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here I will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here also I will be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So look here. For the first one, Z equal to 2 plus 3I means X is 2. X is 2. I'll take this one as the 1. So Z equal 2 plus 3I. Here X is 2, Y is 3 means the point will be coming here somewhere. So 2 and 3. So this will be the point. So let me take some other color for this. I'll take this one black. So this is the point for the first one. So now here, this is the phasor which will be representing the 1. So now, as usual, you can construct a rectangle like this. Now I'll consider the second one. Some minus 2 plus 5I. Z equal to the minus 2 plus 5I means X equal to minus 2. X minus 2 means it will be coming the X dash axis, opposite to X axis here, and Y is 5 plus 5. So here in the second quadrant it will come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here the point will come. So if the point comes here, this is the phasor. So now again the rectangle. This is for the second one. I'll consider one more, the third one. So here z equal to some 3 minus 4i. So in which quadrant it will come? Now the third one will come in which quadrant?
Third quadrant. Third quadrant.
Third quadrant.
Will it comes in the third quadrant? Third quadrant
No,
means
sir. Fourth quadrant. Fourth
This-
quadrant.
Fourth quadrant, sir.
Fourth, sir.
x is positive, no? X is positive means,
Yeah.
so here you need to
Yes, sir.
consider this one. Y is negative, so this one you need to consider. So the phasor will be coming in this quadrant. Clear? So 3 is this one and 4 is here. So now I'll put the mark here. So this is the phasor. So this is for the third one. So if both are negative, means if I write z equal to some minus 2 minus 4i, minus 2 minus 4i. X and y both are negative. As x and y both are negative, the phasor will be coming in the third quadrant. So, okay, so this is 2 and this is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So this is what the phasor for the fourth one. So this is how the phasors will be drawn in the rectangular form. In the rectangular form. Now have you understood
Yes, sir.
how to draw the phasors in the
Yes.
rectangular form? Yes. This is in the rectangular form. And one more is here, polar form. One more is here in the polar form. So when I say this is in the polar form, I will consider the same coordinate system like this. So look here, this is the x and this is y, y dash as well as the x dash. So as usual, I'll mark the coordinates like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here also 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So look here, the first one. So here it is given as 5 angle 60. So it is given as like 5 angle 60 degree. So if the angle is given as plus 60 degree, then from the x-axis means from here, we need to move in the anti-clockwise direction. We need to move in the anti-clockwise direction. Like this we need to move. So whereas here, this 5, it represents the length of the phasor. Means first we need to mark the angle 60 degree. Angle 60 degree. So if I say this is where the angle 60 will come. This is where the, let me change the pen. So here. So this is what the 60 degree if I say. So now what's the length of the phasor? It should be 5. So it should be 5 means, so it will be coming like this. So this is the 5 angle 60 degree. So in the same way, if I say this is minus 60 degree. So minus 60 degree means, so I will consider this as the 5 angle 60 degree. So in the same way, if I consider 5 minus 60 degree. Minus 60 degree means you have to go in the clockwise direction. So first we need to mark the 60 degree. If I say this is the 60 degree and what's the length of the phasor? It should be 5 units. So this is how 5. So this one represents the 5 angle minus 60 degree. 5 angle minus 60 degree. So like this, they have drawn the remaining phasors also. Remember here. So this is for minus 45 degree. This is plus 60 degree. This is for 120 degree. Now you observe here variation of the length of these phasors. So here it is mentioned as 2, so the length is small. Here it is mentioned as 3, so the length is bit more. So here they have mentioned the length as some 5, so the length is more, and here the length is further more. So here, whatever if I write like some z equal to r into angle phi, r into angle phi means here it represents this r represents the magnitude of the phasor or length of the phasor, whereas this phi represents the initial phase. The phi represents the initial phase. So why we have marked it here as 5 angle 60 degree here means this is the 60 degree. Generally, we'll be considering the position of the particle here when t equal to 0. So when t equal to 0, if the particle is at this point, which is making an angle 60 degree means, so this will be the initial phase 60 degree means this represents the phi value. Whereas here, if the particle is at this point, so the initial phase phi equal to minus 60 degree. It is behind the initial position. So at what it is behind? Minus 60 degree. Minus 60 degree. So when they give the angle negative, we'll be taking the direction in the clockwise direction for minus phi. If it is plus phi, so if it is plus phi, then we'll be taking the anti-clockwise direction. Got it? Have you understood this phasor representation in the polar form?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Still, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. If it is clear, there is only one numerical we are going to solve on the forced oscillations. You just note down that
Yes,
numerical.
sir.
Yes.
Sir, post we mark the angle. From
Yes.
after that we need to mark the plot. Sorry,
Yes.
plot the point, sir.
Yeah. We need to give the magnitude of the phasor. First, you need to mark the angle. Then you need to give the magnitude of the phasor. So just as an example, you consider, I think this is Fatima, I think. You only know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. If I say angle phi equal to some 130 degree and r equal to some 3. R equal to means the magnitude of the phasor is 3. Okay. Where exactly you will mark? First, if I mark this r equal to 3, means the magnitude of the phasor or length of the phasor, I will mark 3. Where do I need to mark? Can I mark it here? If I mark it here, this angle should be 130 degree. So as we don't know whether this angle is 130 degree, so that's the reason first we'll mark the angle, then we'll mark the length of the phasor, so that you will be getting the exact. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Then anything else? Only one numerical will solve and we'll close the session. Okay. Are you fine? Otherwise, we'll discuss in some other class.
Sir, today enough, sir.
Enough. Yeah, okay, then that's fine. I'm not going to force you people. Okay.
Sir, it's already been very long session, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. Thank you. So let me take the attendance and I will close the session. Okay.